Earlier in the newscast, we told you how more than a dozen people were arrested here locally for their alleged involvement in a sex trafficking ring.
And joining us this morning to shed some light on the staggering problem is Tiffany Mester. She oversees a ministry that tries to get young women off the streets. Tiffany, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
So we just have to start. You are a victim of sex trafficking yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about that ordeal, how that happened?
Yeah, the foundation for me being trafficked happened in my childhood. I suffered a lot of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse as a child. So I was really broken at the core. And so when I became a teenager, I was in search of love. And that's exactly where a trafficker found me. And he pursued me romantically and made me feel like he loved me. And through that, he asked me to work for him on the streets, and he exploited that love for him.
Wow. How were you able to get out?
You know, honestly, I have to say it's by the grace of God. There are little points in between my life where he really intervened. The biggest part is when I was in juvenile hall. After I got out of juvenile hall for 6 months, my trafficker actually got arrested. And I think that's the biggest point where our ties got severed.
And how long were you on the streets for?
I was working for about 1.5 years.
Wow. And you were just a teenager?
Yes, I was 15 and 14 years old.
Did you feel like you didn't have any place to turn to?
I felt like nobody cared about me, and the only person that really cared about my well-being was him. So it wasn't about someone to turn to, it was somebody to love me and accept me.
Okay, so help us understand this, because there are some misconceptions, things that people might think about sex trafficking, or they might say, how could a young girl fall in love with a man who would exploit her love that way? Can you just explain that to us?
It's actually very similar to Stockholm Syndrome. So the captors develop a love for the traffickers. They will go to any extent to keep the traffickers safe. Mm-hmm. So if I was to get arrested, they teach the girls not to tattle on the pimp. And pimp and trafficker are used synonymously, they're the same thing. And so you get caught in this bubble, and you don't. Basically, it's like people that experience domestic violence. They keep going back to it because that's what they're used to, that's what they know. And so these symptoms are very similar. Stockholm Syndrome, domestic violence victims, they experience the same things.
Wow. Tiffany, just this week we saw how more than a dozen people were arrested for sex trafficking. Do you think there's more awareness of this problem out there right now?
I think over the last 10 years we've done a great job building awareness, and I think we have a long way to go though.
And what needs to be done?
Honestly, when people hear about human trafficking, look into it more, understand what human trafficking is, and then go out there and spread awareness. If you hear someone calling a girl a prostitute, change the language and say, no, she's being prostituted, she's a victim of prostitution. So slightly changing people's perspective spreads awareness as well.
Okay, and now, I mean, it's one thing to recognize what's happened to you, but you're just so strong, and you're actually coming out and you're talking to current victims and trying to spread the word so, awareness can be raised. So tell us about the ministry that you're involved in. You have an event coming up, so talk to us about that.
We are a 501c3 nonprofit apart from the Rock Church, and we're also a ministry at the Rock Church. So we do outreaches through them. We're also planning to open up a safe house within the first quarter. So we're raising funds for that, and we actually have an event tomorrow night at the Rock Church East County at 7:30 p.m. to raise awareness and to also raise funds. It is a free event, but we ask for people to donate money. And then today I'm also able to speak at the Bishop School, which is a great honor. We're going there to talk to kids and teachers and just let them know about human trafficking, how it happens, and also what they can do to combat human trafficking.
All right.
Tiffany, what are you doing now?
Right now, I am a waitress and a student. I'm actually about to go to grad school in the next year.
Awesome.
So
wow. That is awesome. That's so good to hear.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to thank you for sharing your story with us. Any last messages, just for maybe some children, some teenagers who are looking for that type of love? Any last messages to them?
I'd say that if you're in a really unfit home environment, find somebody that can mentor you, that will love you and treat you right. And through finding a mentor, that'll keep you out of a lot of trouble, not just being trafficked, but also out of gangs and out of drugs and alcohol and other stuff like that.
And again, Tiffany, the name of your ministry and where can people get more information?
Hidden Treasures Foundation, and The name just escaped me. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I believe it's hiddentreasures.sd.com.
All right.
Okay, perfect. Well, you're a very brave young woman. Thank you so much for being here with us.